Hey there. Welcome to the Gyro Step, a Milwaukee Bucks podcast, proudly a part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network and GSPN. I'm Ty Windisch, one of your hosts, joined as always by the in the field, Rohan Katti. Rohan, good morning as we record on Monday morning. Why don't you explain to the folks that, it's not really not one word, it's not a synonym or anything, but why don't you explain to the folks why that was the term I described you as this lovely Monday morning?
Yeah, it is a good morning to you, Ty. It is a lovely Monday morning. You described me as out in the field because our friend Jordan Treske, fellow member of GSPN, co-host of Win in Six, make sure to listen to that same feed. We were invited to attend the launch event of Bobby Portis's new podcast, Keep It a Buck. It was a good time. It was great to meet him, meet the co-hosts, just figure out what the podcast is about. And we actually got a chance to interview Bobby one-on-one. So we should have a solid podcast coming for you guys in the coming days. So watch out for that. Make sure you're subscribed for our exclusive one-on-one with Bobby Portis.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's a different interview because I was hoping when I heard the details of this, they would have somewhere it was at a studio, right?
It was no. It was not at their
Oh.
studio. It was at a studio.
Well,
space.
I was hoping there would be like a little room in the studio for the interview, and it's an in the field interview for sure. There's someone dying laughing at certain points. I don't know if that was because of your interview or just a different conversation, but it's a fun listen. It's great to hear from Bobby, and we're excited about the podcast. So free promo, one free ad. Keep it a buck. Check it out wherever you listen to podcasts. The answer I was most intrigued by, the Thanasis versus Bobby podcast question. Hope everything is going well for TA, who's been away from the Bucks for a couple of games now. But that was a big one. But anyway, the title of this podcast, A Different Bucks Big Man. I don't know how seriously you thought I was taking this last night when I said for the pod, what if we do a Brook Lopez appreciation podcast? But as you joined the call today, Rohan, you could see the Crown is just Brook Lopez Appreciation Podcast. I think this is warranted after what Brook has done all season. Last night against Toronto, Sunday night, where Brook scores 17 points in the fourth quarter, literally the difference in that game by far. Giannis had a 100% shooting triple-double. Didn't get an upstock. Honestly, I think it's kind of like a stats lying Giannis game. It was good. It wasn't great.
Wait, stats can lie?
Stats can indeed lie, but not
Getting
Brook
a triple-double on 100% efficiency does not mean you're the greatest player of all time, Ty. I'm shocked.
Listen, it wasn't a terrible game. I'm not here to tear down Giannis. We all know how we feel about Giannis. But I watched that Giannis game and I was like, yeah, good game. I think he took 9 shots. He got a lot of free throws, was not 100% there.
Dishing the ball well,
rebounding well, which the Bucks sorely needed. But anyway, Brook doesn't play against the Pacers, and Indiana is able to come back in the second half, score a bunch, and win that game. Brook does play against the Raptors, absolute clamps. I don't know when the last time, if ever, we've done this with Brook, and he certainly deserves to headline the show and have a significant portion talking about him. I think we talk now more about the core four than the big three. And some of that is Khris Middleton taking a bit of a step back this season. Obviously, the injuries are so important. And I know people are wondering about his defense. Maybe we'll get to that later. But part of the reason, too, not just to cite Khris, is because Brook has gained ground. Brook has been that good this season that the line is no longer the big three and then Brook and then everybody else. It's really, I think, the core four and then everybody else in terms of who you trust, who's played the best, etc. So I've got a bunch of fun stats to go through, but Rohan, first, your thoughts on Brook Lopez this season, really defying conventional logic in multiple ways.
I think one thing about Brook Lopez is that you see what his impact is. It's like one of those things that obviously a lot of people see it and there's a big impact, but you don't really truly appreciate it until it's not there. This is only, I believe, the second game that Brook Lopez has missed this season so far. Hopefully he doesn't miss any more.
Fact checking here.
I believe it is. the second game. But you notice his absence immediately. Like against the Pacers, you have the Bobby Giannis front court that unfortunately had to make do for a majority of last regular season. But you just see how out of sorts the team is defensively right away. And I wouldn't go as far as to say that it labels Giannis as a defensive liability at the 5 that I know people were saying.
The one game takes, and one game where he was obviously in foul trouble for the whole second half. He picked up 3 fouls in 1 minute, and the whistle all night, I'll say. I mean, I'm not excusing the Bucks' loss. They should have won. Bad whistled game at Fiserv, no question. But just go on, but just a dumb take. Like a no context, blinders on. One Pacers game anyway wouldn't tell me anything about Giannis that, 50 points in the finals and blocking DeAndre Ayton has already told me. Like, I know enough about Giannis that I don't need one Pacers game. But especially with the context of the foul trouble, people really grasp at straws for takeaways from these regular season games, man.
They really do. So I would not say that at all. Also, we have to remember that Giannis has won Defensive Player of the Year. That is a thing that has happened. But
before he's washed now, that was when in his prime. He's ancient now. He's what, 28?
Yeah.
Or 27, 28 in December, I think.
28.
Yeah.
No, I think he just turned 28.
Oh.
28's old, Ty, apparently.
Thanks. Yep. Go on.
But you notice his absence immediately in the Pacers game, which is why you see a Pacers team able to run up so many points, and it's being a high-scoring game. You let up a 49-point third quarter to the Indiana Pacers, who did not have Tyrese Haliburton in that game. It's an indictment of the I wouldn't say it's an indictment of the rest of the Bucks defense, but I think it shows how good, how great, how dominant Brook Lopez is as a force, as a two-way impact, but especially on the defensive end for this Milwaukee Bucks team, how important he is for this team's success. And again, I don't want to go the full opposite way and have so many takeaways about one game against the Indiana Pacers, but this is a trend that we've seen throughout the years when Brook Lopez has unfortunately had to miss games. Go back to last season. The Bucks are not a dominant defensive team, and you see that for 60-something games or 50-something games, whatever it was.
Last season, go ahead.
No, go finish.
Last season was the only time under Bud, so in the Brook era too, then, that the Bucks had been a not top 10 defense. They were, I think, 9th the championship year with trying out the switching and integrating new pieces. Otherwise, they're usually first or top 3. Right now, they're third, but they're like half a point per possession behind first. And people have told me that the cleaning the glass defense that filters out some things, they're actually first. I don't know if that's true or not anymore. This was a couple days ago, but they're right up there to simplify it. Yeah, I think Brook's impact is obvious, and I think it's not – there's a difference between appreciating what Brook does and also noting that, they're built a certain way to play with Brook, and it's always going to be an adjustment when you can't. And that's not to say that, again, take anything away from Brook or anyone else. But I do think Brook's Defensive Player of the Year candidacy, which I think he's still leading right now. We checked all these, one of the last pods. It's not about, he's the best defensive player on the Bucks. You could tell me he's third, and I don't think that's incorrect potentially with Giannis and Drew, who is still, for my money, the best perimeter defender in the league, who is maybe the most impactful, on-ball defender in the NBA. But it's about what the Bucks need him to do and what he does for the Bucks. I just think that's a clear difference, and it's not that hard to understand. You watch them play, everything they do goes through Brook. Like, you can't do that with – you could do that with Giannis if you played him at center. They don't want to. I mean, with the load Giannis carries on offense, asking him to do Brook stuff every night is just way too much, especially because Giannis is going to pick up a lot more fouls on the other end than Brook will. Brook is really good at not fouling. But everything they do, they force to Brook. And that's how you get by with not having 15 great defenders, although they're not that far off. We talked about the defensive personnel on this team, but it amplifies it that the good defenders and the less good defenders, you know your job, is to stick with guys, funnel everything to Brook. Brook can handle it. We've seen these games these last week or two where Brook is literally waving people away. Like, get out of here. Like, I do not need your help, man. Like, Sabonis is going to give me sometimes. I can hold up down here. This is better than threes. He's all in on that. I noticed Bud actually mentioned that, by the way, of like overhelping from the perimeter. I was reading Eric Name's piece about the Pacers game. The Raptors one isn't up. And Bud mentioned that, which I was like, oh, file that away, because that's something we've groaned about a lot. And I think trusting Brook and trusting the perimeter defenders is a big deal for the Bucks, and that's their best path forward defensively. But they've built this thing so that everything goes through Brook because he can handle it down low, both in terms of on a game-to-game basis, on a full season basis. He's an Iron Man. He's missed 2 games. He leads the Bucks in total minutes by nearly 200 minutes. Like, he is out
back
there.
surgery last season.
He had spinal surgery at age 33. He's probably at age 34. He turns 35 in less than 2 weeks. He has the most fitting birthday ever. April 1st is the Lopez brothers' birthday. And he is doing things that we don't see of players do this age at all. And I think we haven't appreciated, and certainly me as much, the league-wide context. Not just like, oh, this is for Brook Lopez. And I'll go through a bunch of Brook-specific stuff. Here, let's get into my fun Brook stats.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Are you ready for the full list of players age 34 and older this season? So this is using like the season age thing. Maybe someone has aged into it since, but you know what I mean? Like the stat sites show you as an age for the season. So guys listed at age 34 or older scoring more than Brook Lopez this year. Here's the complete list.
Okay, can I guess?
Do you want to guess? Yeah, go ahead and guess.
Yeah. LeBron.
Yeah, that's always a good one for old guy stats.
Oh my God.
Think.
Oh, Chris Paul.
Nope.
Oh.
There are 2 names remaining. There's only 3 players.
Oh, there's only 3?
There's only 3 players who are 34 and older scoring more than Brook. They were teammates like 4 years ago.
4 years ago?
Maybe a little less. Probably about 4 years ago, yeah.
Okay, just tell. I'm out.
It's Steph and KD.
Oh, duh.
That's it. Well, you wouldn't think of them. I think Steph is age 35 this year. KD's 34. Yeah. But that's it. That's the full list. So here's players who qualified and are that age and score less than Brook Lopez. Aforementioned Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, Al Horford, Mike Conley, Kyle Lowry, Kevin Love. Like, there's a lot of players at that age still
all
going.
Guys who are, like, considered very, very washed.
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, I think, I don't know. I guess Horford is by now. I know you're not taking away, but it's like, yeah, comparing how they look respectively.
Yeah, like you see those guys and you're like, oh, they're doing well for their age, is what I'm trying to say. They look like they're doing well for their age. Meanwhile, Brook Lopez looks like a freaking world beater at his age.
Yeah, I mean, this is the defensive impact between all of these players, and Brook is not close. Like, again, the scoring is great. It's been really important for the Bucks. He's at 15.6 points per game this season. But
that's ridiculous.
It's highest of his Bucks tenure. I've got a bunch of highest among Bucks tenure numbers to go through too. But yeah, I just think it's wild that on top of legitimate DPOY-level defense, again, he's like leading the field right now. He's also scoring more than all of these other players who are that age. He's also 4th in rebounding in that age bracket. LeBron, KD, Kevin Love are the only 3 players rebounding more. Brook's 6.7 boards per game is also first in his Bucks tenure, as is his 30.7 minutes. Nearly 31 minutes a game, only missing 2 games so far. 2.5 blocks is 3rd in the NBA, or tied for 2nd in the NBA, and 1st in his Bucks tenure. Here's an exciting one I want to talk about a little bit. 37.8% from 3. First in Brook's Bucks tenure. The Noah, dude. Like, it feels realer this year. I don't think, and someone can correct me, maybe there's a 20-game stretch where it's bad. I felt like in years past, Brook was so hot or cold, which with the 3. And it's like, oh, you don't want to rely on it too much. He's been a steady force, what feels like all year. I mean, there's been down games or whatever, but I think now I just look at him like, oh, he's just a good shooter now. Like, his shot is so much more consistent, both in mechanics and results, that I think that's a huge deal as well. And that's helped him kind of, he's not totally lineup or matchup proof, but I think he's able to play more because the shot is realer than it's ever been. It's also a career high for Brook. Again, at age 34, about to turn 35 years old.
Yeah, it's speaking of the consistency, it feels more consistent. It feels like Brook Lopez in years past would average like 3 threes made per game by hitting 9 threes, 0, and then 0. Like you would just have these super, super hot games from Brook, and then that would just sort of raise his percentages. And which ended up being like dipped because it's like obviously this is the highest shooting percentage of his career with Milwaukee. And it feels more consistent. Like when Brook Lopez gets a 3-point opportunity, more often than not, I feel pretty confident about that shot. Like I feel like it's a good shot. It's not like a heat check where he's just like trail threes all day. It's a lot of catch and shoot opportunities, especially when he's sharing the court with Giannis. A lot of times where sometimes he will get those trail threes, but it feels less frequent. He feels like he's chucking less. It feels like more consistent.
Designed.
Yeah, more designed. He's more of a 3-point shooting threat, in my opinion, this season.
And it's cool because he's done it without needing the corners still, because this one is like simple logic if you think about it. If he can stay above the elbow, it's so much easier for him to get back. And we already talked about his, and I have more defensive stats, but the fact that he's doing all this basically from the elbows and from above the break means that he's not giving up that defensive edge of getting Brook back. And you look at Bucks games, I mean, you would imagine, plotting Brook Lopez, he must get beat back all the time. Not really. When you look at the plays where the Bucks it's usually like a perimeter guy who loses someone. Brook is going to get back in time before the offense is set. Like he positions himself that way offensively. And when he is at the basket, thankfully, he just doesn't really miss enough for it to be a problem. I'm not going to do a filter for attempts or games played, Rohan. Can you name the Bucks who are shooting a better percentage from 2 this season than Brook Lopez?
Better percentage from 2.
And I'll say they're both on the team. You don't have to worry about anyone who's not on the team anymore.
AJ Green.
No. He's at 50%, which is not terrible, but it's actually 12th among Bucks. The Bucks are really good from 2.
I don't think Giannis is.
No, Giannis is 58.6%, which is 4th among current Bucks.
Yeah, and also ridiculous.
Yeah, it is volume. Yeah, and the defensive attention, for sure.
Oh man, it's not Javon.
No,
nope. It's
Javon is low. Javon is
Grayson?
No. It's I'll give you a hint. It's 2 guys who have not been here to have enough attempts to have a real sample. And that's the only reason that they're ahead of Brook.
Oh. Is Myers Leonard and Jae Crowder?
It is. Myers is shooting 75%. He basically just dunks. And Crowder's shooting 69.2%. Nice. It's 14 points higher than his next season high from 2, so it's probably going to go down a little bit. He's been red hot to start in general. And then there's Brook at 62.1% from 2. So he's, outside of those guys, the only active Buck who's above Giannis's 58%. 62.7% from 2. It's actually not a Bucks career high for Brook. 2 years ago when he didn't play as much, he was higher than that. He doesn't just dunk. He's not just a roll man. They've gotten him in the lob game more, which has been awesome. He's a really consistent lob catcher and finisher, even though he doesn't get all that high.
Especially with Khris back.
Yeah, he and Khris have that. It's been really fun. But he also, we watch the games, a lot of those hook shots, a lot of those mid-range. Again, this is not at the rim. This is all 2s. He takes a lot of mid-range fadeaway shots that look ridiculous. I don't even sigh anymore. These shots were, remember 2 years ago, Burke Lewitsky? What is he doing on some of these shots? I'm yeah, it's probably cash, dude. No one can guard him. He's too big. And it's the deceptively big thing, deceptively long on offense. It's on defense that you used to say if he can test your shot on the perimeter, it's hard to make it over him because he's just so damn big. Now I feel like that's offensively, you can't really contest it. He's too big. And he's just been...
People talk about people not being able to stop Kevin Durant on offense because of the shot. They really should be talking about Brook Lopez.
They're underrating Brook, man.
If Kevin Durant wants to claim he's 6'8" or 6'9" or whatever, Brook's a true 7 player.
I just can't believe some of the stuff Brook is doing. I don't think KD listens.
He might. You never know.
So I remember how I said Brook is third in block, or tied for second in blocks, I should say. Nick Claxton is tied with, and then Jaren Jackson Jr. in blocks per game is first in blocks per game. Do you want to hear a wild Brook JJJ stat that I think probably has a lot to do with why DPOY is leaning Brook?
Yes, please.
Brook has played 2,118 minutes this year. It's first on the Bucks by a lot. It's 43rd in the league. So, not like 20th, but one of the top 50
Bud,
numbers. Man. Yeah, that's very – Bud is probably pissed. Bud probably is mad that there's anyone on that top NBA stats that shows 50 at a time. Bud probably control S for MIL and goes, damn it, I did not want to see this. So if Jaren Jackson played 48 minutes a game, so he's missed some time with injury, and obviously fouling means he doesn't play as many minutes per game when he is healthy as Brook. If Jaren Jackson played 48 minutes a game for the last 12 games for Memphis, and Brook just sat out, but somehow they convinced Brook to take – he won't do it, but if he took the last 12 games off, Brook would finish more than a full game ahead in total minutes still. There is a gulf. 630 minutes right now is the gap between those two. Again, there's an injury. It's not entirely the fouls, but I do think the minutes per game, it's a very different number. And the reason for that is Brook just doesn't foul. Brook also, I'll have to look and see if I think this is still correct. Last time I looked, he had less fouls than Jaren in 630 more minutes, like less total fouls. That's wild.
That is absolutely ridiculous.
He doesn't foul. He's got, for the season, he is at 2.5, or no, 1 point, no, that's turnovers, 2.5 per game. He's like basically almost never in foul trouble, despite contesting all these shots at the rim. He is a top 5 player this season in terms of total shots defended at the rim. He is third, and he has held opponents, actually this is within 6 feet, so more than just the rim. He's held opponents to 12.6 percentage points worse within 6 feet than their average, which is easily first among the top 5 players to defend at that level within 6 feet. Porzingis is 6th, though. He's actually pretty close. Good season for Porzingis on defense. But Brook is still higher. And again, defends way more shots at the rim than anyone who's close to the difference he's made in field goal percentage in that area.
Here, let's look up that stat right now. So Brook Lopez has 175 total fouls this year. Jaren Jackson Jr. has 186.
Yeah, so 600 minutes difference, and he's fouled is that 11 more times?
Yeah.
Like that matters. I mean, you have more of a defensive impact the more you're out there, and whether it's staying healthier or just being able to play more of each game, Brook has a big advantage. You have Jaren's stats up?
Yeah.
What's his minutes per game?
His minutes per game right now are at 28.1.
So I thought it was closer to 27. So he got it at 28, but still 2 minutes less than Brook. Yeah, it's this guy is something else. I think that's the end of my fun Brook stats, but pretty wild stuff for a guy who, I mean, people were kind of concerned, like, is he going to be the same this season? Like, what if Brook just falls off a cliff? Was like a pretty common question asked, right? Like, that was
which is valid. It's honestly valid. Like, given the track record of players like at his size and have had back surgery at his age, like just look at Serge Ibaka.
Serge is like a couple years younger, isn't he?
He's younger, and his career tanked after having back surgery.
Yeah.
Where like, have fun requesting a trade, my guy. Like, you're not getting signed. Like, the Cavs, the Lakers are going to sign Tristan Thompson.
Oh, I mean, historically, I'm just trying to think of like bigs who have been this. I guess Horford is similar. He's not as big.
Horford has not won Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, Brook hasn't yet. Hopefully, he does.
He hasn't been like.
Yeah, no, I know. He hasn't even been. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, somebody asked me yesterday, like, what is Brook's next contract going to look like? Because I saw Keith Smith, who covers the CBA and roster moves and a bit of the Celtics too really well, said, like, Brook could probably get huge money, but he's probably just going to sign back with the Bucks on a reasonable deal. And I quote tweeted and said, goodness, I hope so. I mean, I've been saying they should extend him after, like, every game for since Sacramento, when he stood up for Giannis and was, again, his own discretion away from eliminating number 41 from contention to play games anymore because Brook is just literally the mountain. They need to find a way to keep him. I think they will. I'm not that worried about it.
Yeah, they will.
I mean, it's just obvious.
They should.
Yeah. I think
if they don't, it's a tragedy.
It's impossible to understate what Brook has meant to this team. And I just think, or to overstate, excuse me. It's impossible to overstate what Brook was meant to this team. And I think it's just not a coincidence that...
Brook, you suck. It's impossible to...
No, we only do that with Ingles. Remember, we rag on Ingles and he plays better. Brook, we keep complimenting, he keeps getting better. So I think it's the opposite. He's just been so good, and I'll be so happy. I think my dream scenario is like at least 2 years more for Brook on the next deal. And if you risk him, getting an injury or whatever, you risk that, whatever. It's just figure it out. I mean, assuming they also keep Khris, they're not going to be a cap space team anytime soon either way. Brook should be a Buck for as long as he plays. Like, it would be wrong for him to play in another uniform after what we've seen him do with this team.
It truly would be. It would be a tragedy. It's does he go into the Hall of Fame as a Milwaukee Buck? I
think so. I think this is where his career, clearly became that.
Yeah.
I don't think he was getting in with Brooklyn.
No, he's a one-time All-Star.
Yeah, it's like, and he is
their all-time leading scorer.
Yeah, I don't know if that guarantees Hall of Fame.
No,
especially not for the Brooklyn Nets. But I think if they can get another one, would you call the Bucks a dynasty?
I'd say so.
People will say no. I've seen people say the Warriors are not a dynasty. I'm like, there are none then. Then what's the point of the term if the Warriors aren't one?
Yeah, the Warriors are a dynasty. They're the second greatest dynasty ever.
Were the Cavs a dynasty? The second LeBron Cavs? I think you need at least two.
You need at least two.
Right now, this is an era. I would agree with you, though. I would call it a dynasty if the Bucks get another one. They have to do it, though. It's a long road ahead. Any other Brook Lopez thoughts?
No Buck should wear 11 again, Ty.
Oh, I have one. Did you see my take about what the statue should be? Brook needs a statue. I determined that yesterday.
Oh, nice. What should the statue be?
I think it's probably the best way to do it is like a core 4 statue. And I don't know, maybe Giannis needs a separate one too. I'm not sure on that. Or maybe you do that. Maybe do a core 4 statue, and then they should do a 70s big 3 statue too. Or at least Kareem should get one. But anyway, maybe he didn't play long enough. I think Kareem should probably get something.
I think Kareem should.
I think it's the core 4. Brook has to be grabbing a teammate's whole head with his hand. I've noticed that is like the signature post-play. He grabs someone's whole head. And it looks so threatening at first. Well, that was different. That was from the front. I'm saying from the back. Kind of from the top sometimes. He's so big. But I saw he missed a pass to Khris late in the game. And it like clockwork. He just goes in and just brings in Khris. And they commiserate about it. And I'm like, that should be the statue. It should be Brook just whole head grabbing Khris. And then I don't know what Drew is doing. Giannis is doing. I don't know what it is, but
either that or we need that photo of Brook sitting cross-legged on the bench.
That would be a good one. That would be a good one. Maybe there should just be 8 statues. Brook can sit cross-legged for the valley-oop, and then the Brook block on KD is a statue. A lot of statues.
Yeah, just all the statues. You can't walk anywhere in the Deer District. It's just
make them out of Cream City brick, and then it'll be topical. I don't think they'll last that long though. Statue watch.
It'll allow people to lick the Cream City brick like they're supposed to, Ty.
Let's stop right there because these are depictions of grown men.
Oh, that's true.
I'm just going to comment on it. The 2-4 is not hanging here. That's not as striking as it seems. So I swapped it out for Kung Fu Kenny, but I'm getting a really bad reflection. So I have to play with the angles. Like my whole screen was reflected and it wasn't a good visual. But I didn't put the 2-4 back up. I'm not saying, completely unrelated topic, I'm not saying that I'm unraftering Pat, but I am saying I need to see more Raptors level play before I put it back up. We've talked about this a lot. Our take has been, hey, he's going to get it together. We're not worried about it. The sample of strong play is 2 full seasons, so like the year and the postseason. He's going to get it together. He just kind of hasn't yet. And now I'm starting to get pretty concerned, to be honest, both in terms of that's a big blow if he doesn't. Pat Connaughton get it together. And like if Crowder's injury isn't too bad, which he was standing, he was moving around. I'm hopeful it's not long term. He did not seem upset. So again, that's not totally indicative, but seemed like hopefully not too long of a thing for Crowder with the calf soreness. Pat's role is a little bit going to be at risk here. What have been your thoughts lately on PC 2-4 and just like our evaluation of, he'll get it together. It's not a big deal.
I would be less concerned if he wasn't making a lot of uncharacteristic Pat mistakes. Like, it's not just he's cold shooting or whatever. Sometimes he's getting back to his old tendencies of jumping too much on defense. He's getting lost sometimes. There was a possession against the Raptors yesterday where he was out of position twice on the same possession, leading to a wide open Raptors 3, like in sequence. Like, I'm not entirely sure what's going on with Pat Connaughton there. Like maybe some real estate deal didn't go as well as he'd hoped or something. But in all seriousness, it just hasn't looked like Pat Connaughton this entire season.
Yeah, I felt like that, and I totally agree. And that's the real concern for me is that it's not just the shooting at this point.
Because we've seen guys like rebound from shooting, and they've been able to make impacts even when their shooting hasn't been great.
Yes, Bobby Portis all year has found ways. Grayson Allen, yeah. He didn't get a downstock. Did he get a downstock the other game? Where he was like 1 for 7, but he just did enough? I don't think he did because like everything else was good. Like people who are saying Grayson and Pat just switch bodies, I don't understand it. That is what it looks like. Except Grayson had never had a shooting year this bad before. But it's like just becoming the bad goat. Marcus was saying on the broadcast the other day, when he was playing, GOAT was bad. If you're the GOAT, it means like you messed up for your team. Did you not know this either?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it used to be a bad thing, and then they turned it. Obviously, now it's the acronym, but I think it comes from the Babe Ruth World Series GOAT thing. They like brought a goat to a game, I think, and it became like the symbol of bad luck. Baseball is weird.
You don't have to tell me.
Yeah. Listen to Cruising for a Bruising, though.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens with Luke Voigt. They push back that decision if he can opt out or not. I hope they keep him around. I kind of like what he's been doing in spring training.
You've been watching the World Baseball Classic?
No, I just haven't had time. I've barely gotten to watch Brewers. I've heard it's electric, though. The people arguing against it, I think, are just dumb as bricks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
To be clear, not my most political phrasing, but it's like, we can't have these guys playing baseball. They got to get back to spring training, the baseball games that matter. Like this doesn't matter at all. Like,
imagine fans of like the biggest like Premier League teams in the world saying, "No, we can't send our guys to the World Cup."
No, or Champions League right now. Oh, we don't care. Champions League. I guess that's the same team, so it's different. But World Cup is a better example.
Yeah, like, oh, no, we can't send our guys to the World Cup. No, we can't do that.
Yeah.
What if they get injured? It's like, done. Like, there's a chance of getting injured every time you play the sport.
Yeah.
Every time you do anything. Ty broke his ankle doing something.
I didn't break it. I slipped going out to the grill. I wasn't going to say it on the pod. There was a wet spot on my stair. It landed under my butt. It was scary. Because it didn't feel that bad, but I knew what happened right away. Like, I was like, oh, yeah, my foot was... I was like, is my foot off? No, human bodies are great. It's a baseball right now. It's baseball size. Topical conversation, but we're doing okay. I can hobble around. Anyway,
send your well wishes to Ty, everyone.
Thanks, Rohan. But yeah, I think basketball fans need to take a page with I think there's another FIBA event coming up now this summer, and Giannis is probably going to play. Just support it, man. It means a lot to the players. It means a lot to the fans. And I think the real issue is the U.S. population just doesn't care because the U.S. always wins basketball, the one horrible FIBA year aside. Actually, I think they did win anyway. They just looked bad.
No, they didn't.
Oh, wait, when was that? That was the Brook year, right?
Yeah, it was the last World Cup. They did not win.
Yeah, that was rough. But then they won this Olympics. But anyway, but the U.S. just doesn't care enough because the games aren't close. Like the World Cup, they're never close, so it doesn't mean as much. And basketball, they win too much, and they care more about the NBA. And then baseball, I guess it's kind of just the same. They don't win all the time in baseball either. I don't know why people are so. I think it's a cool thing to have. And
more people watch the World Baseball Classic than they do the World Series.
That's crazy. But I'm not surprised. The world is big, man.
Yeah, it's almost like the world is not just the United States.
I'm going to have to research that, and I'll get back to you. I'm not sure about that one, but we'll do some more. Anyway, it's a long tangent on the WBC. I'm sure similar points were made on Cruising for a Bruising. I can tell you that if they got to it. But what were we? Oh, Pat Connaughton. What did we? Oh, my ankle's the side of a baseball. That's right.
It's surprisingly not the Pat Connaughton baseball connection.
Not what I would have expected there. But Pat, yeah, it's everything else. I think he's pressing. That's what I think. It's like trying to make more other plays because the shot isn't falling, and then just doing too much on that end and not playing in control. But I totally agree. That's what really has me concerned. It's not just the shooting, which still at 33.6% for the season. Kind of weirdly the same as Khris Middleton, but Khris has just felt more effective. I don't know why the number.
The thing with Khris is he's trending upwards. Like he started so poorly, especially the first time he came back. Then after like when he came back again, he's been sort of working his way up. And now he's at a point where you feel like he's hitting his threes at a normal clip these last few games. So that's why it feels different with Khris, because he's trending upwards. Meanwhile, Pat has sort of stayed stagnant.
So in March, Khris is shooting 44% from three.
And there you go.
In February, 29.7, not ideal. In January, he actually shot 36.8. And then in December, he shot 26. So 2 bad months, but 1 good. And now he's really getting it together. He's at basically back, kind of. Not all the way, but
he looks back, Ty.
He is March Khris, just the stats. 18 points, 6.6 assists, 4.1 rebounds. Shooting 44% from three and also 44% from the field. So not as good. Needs to bring the 2-point up a little bit. But he's looks, you're right. It's much different than Pat, who, let me pull up the splits. I'm going to guess Pat's best month is like maybe 36%. Like there has not been a full red hot month, I don't think. Not even. His best month is 33% in February, 27% in March for Pat. So he's not had a league average 3-point shooting month all season. The other thing too with Pat versus Khris, like Khris can make a little less percentage-wise because he's like dicing up guys' eyes, right? Like he's taking tough threes, contested threes.
Tough shot express, baby.
Tough. I see that sweat dripping. I'm like, oh yeah, he's back. He's not going to get any separation.
Shout out Justin.
Shout out Justin Superbuck, Moist Jordan. Pats are like so open and more open than ever now that teams kind of are realizing that he's just not making them. It's just hard. Like we're at a point where he makes an open three and I'm like, thank goodness. We needed that one to fall. I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. I mean, he's got to stop trying to do too much, which I do think he's doing right now, and just play like he was to start the season and hope the threes fall. I think that's just where we're at now. Find a Noah also.
Yeah, find a Noah. And it's wild. You have Brook Lopez right there. Just ask him.
Yeah, he's got access.
Where do you stand right now about Pat in terms of his spot in the playoff rotation?
I think he's a prove it guy right now. Like, I don't think he's penciled into late series minutes anymore.
I don't think so either, especially considering we saw how well. I mean, it's been a very, very limited sample size.
11 games, I believe.
We've seen Jae Crowder.
He's so good.
He's so good.
He's ridiculous.
Like when he's closing games, it's ridiculous.
He's shooting 39% from three and 69% from two. Again, those will fall. He's probably going to have the first playoff series. He's going to shoot like 10% total. But everything else he does, as we've talked about ad nauseum, we gush about Crowder every pod. He hasn't even played, I think, since our last pod, or like one game. No. Like he's been out 2 games with the calf thing. He's just so good and such a clear fit. More size. He's been better at everything than Pat. He's been better at everything this year. I would expect Pat to be a better shooter. He hasn't been. So it's tough. But that's why you go get someone like this. As we mentioned, it's as much about insurance as anything. And this isn't an injury insurance. This is just like, wow, someone's not playing well. All right, that's fine. Like, we don't need you to play 30 minutes in Game 7 this year. I still think there's a world where Pat gets back there. I think he is going to have to earn it, though. And we saw when he was healthy, Crowder closing over Pat in that West Coast trip, those back-to-backs, at least one of them. And that, I thought, was a pretty big deal.
It is a pretty big deal. Like, I even think Jae Crowder himself spoke about that. He was like, who cared? Like, people overvalued me talking about starting and stuff. But he's like, it's who finishes games what really matters.
Suns fans were so mad.
Were they? I didn't see that.
Now? Yeah, I saw a bunch of replies because like Dwayne Rankins or somebody who covers the Suns tweeted the video and the quote. And every one of the replies is like, oh, now you come to this conclusion. You couldn't have decided this a little earlier, Jay. We could have used you. And I'm just like, yeah, it's totally fair. Like, I'm not going to quibble with Suns fans saying that. I mean, we were like, oh, it's an extension thing. He's not extended. Like, he's not starting. He's not even playing that much. And he's like happy as a clam.
He's like, I love this, man.
It's like, oh, that sucks. Maybe he's just got a shelf life. Like, you know, you get 3, 4, probably 3 good years from Jae Crowder. It's like, he's got to move on. He's a wandering soul.
Or maybe he just likes Milwaukee better.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I mean, maybe he got tired of acting fake tough and lifting in front of reporters after the game and just wants to handle his business and go home. Who knows?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Did you see the beef with Bad Bunny and Devin Booker?
Yeah, Bad Bunny called out Devin Booker in a song.
Yeah.
Why?
Because he's been seen with Kendall Jenner recently. Bad Bunny.
Oh God.
And I think it was Mike Vigil. Shout out Mike Vigil, who like brought this to like the internet's attention.
Yeah, I saw he tweeted a screenshot, and maybe Mike under it put the translation. I didn't see it at first. It was obviously in Spanish. And I saw Phoenix, and I was like, okay, I'm sure he's right. He's talking
like,
about
Booker. I think the one thing he was like, the sun is hotter in Puerto Rico than the one in Phoenix or something.
Oh, okay. That's pretty mild. Yeah. Pretty random, though. I mean, I wouldn't. It's kind of, well, I guess.
And then he was like, in a different song, he was like, I think later he's like praising Luka and stuff. And we all know about the Luka Devin Booker beef.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think the best one right now active in terms of 2 active players.
Oh, for sure. I love it. I love it as a fan.
It's really good. I mean, I don't think there's that many people clutching pearls about it. I hope not. Like, I hope Luka releases a track about Devin Booker. Luka would be the world's worst rapper.
Oh, 100%.
He doesn't brag at all. All the European NBA players, they'd be terrible rappers. Like,
oh, yeah.
I just love to compete. I'm going to list off all the great players in the world. That would be Giannis's rap song. Here's all the great NBA players: Thanasis, Alex, Costas, KD, Steph,
LeBron.
Yeah, I get better every day chasing these guys.
He's gonna be like, "Oh man, I think Luke Cornett is better than me. I gotta work harder."
Just name everyone on the Warriors, like Kevon Looney, champ. Can't do it like you do.
Anthony Lamb, future champ.
Well, let's hope not. What else
Andre Iguodala.
Okay, yeah, no. What else is there to talk about, Rohan?
I think we could touch a little bit on injuries because we were talking about Jae Crowder. He's missed the last 2 games.
I think it's 2, yeah.
With what you said, it's a calf.
I believe it's a sore calf. I don't think it's a strain. I'm not, because I continue to play body language doctor. I really am just hopefully a much, much less problematic. But I do feel like the older I get, the more I relate to some ways that Bill Simmons looks at the league. And the body language stuff, I think it matters. And he's there. Like, he's standing up a lot, clapping. Like, he was, like, getting someone to crack up on the bench. So it seems like he's in good spirits. And they haven't really – I feel like when it's been a longer-term thing, they've gotten some info out of Bud. to disclose that it's a longer term thing. I haven't seen really any update on this outside of it's been 2 games. But yeah, I think it's soreness, and I'm not too worried at this point. But where are you at?
Yeah, I don't think I'm necessarily too worried if he starts to miss a couple more games on this trip, especially because that was a rough West Coast trip.
Yeah.
He had like the 3 games in 4 nights, especially for a guy who's starting to ramp up his minutes again. Like the last game he played, 24 minutes, like 35 seconds was just 2 seconds off his Milwaukee Bucks high, which was his second ever game with 24 minutes and 37 seconds.
Yeah.
Like this guy has not played a ton.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to ease him back into it.
Yeah, and I think any little thing, they're going to be hypersensitive and go, oh, like your calf's a little sore. You're going to sit out like the better part of a week. And that's the other thing too, is this is a lot of days off for the Bucks around these 3 games on the homestand, which they won't have the rest of the way. So, I hope we see him against the Spurs. I will say, just as like a quick comp, it's a different designation. But like Grayson, I think, missed 2 games as well with his right plantar fascia soreness. And I saw again there, like, oh God, like what? And he's back. And he played and missed shots, but I think just rusty. Otherwise, looked pretty good. So I'm not going to be too concerned.
He was getting to his spots.
Yeah. And Brook missed a game with ankle soreness. And again, oh no. And I was like, guys, like he didn't look any different at all toward the end of the Suns game. Like, we don't need to panic. Like, the guys are going to sit some games. I just think
there's
Bucks fans
11 games left in the regular season. These guys are gearing up for the postseason. As I talked about with Bobby Portis. Again, watch out for that.
Yeah? Oh, nice. The other injuries, Thanasis, as we said, just not with team.
Hope everything's okay.
Yeah, I first was like, oh, I hope it's not a family thing. I was like, I think Giannis would have been gone for some of these too. I think like home in Indiana with days off on either end. I don't know. I don't want to speculate. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't want to speculate. Like these things are personal. He's obviously told the team. The team is okay with it.
Yeah,
it's all good. We don't have to go full. Sorry, Ty. We don't have to go full Sam Esfandiari here.
Did he say something about Wiggins?
Did you see that? Oh yeah, he was like, how many people are allowed to miss a quarter of a fifth of your work time without telling anyone? It's like, bro, he told the team. That's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure it's the same. And I wouldn't say that about a Wiggins level player either. Thanasis does not play, so I hope everything's okay. That of course. I just hope everything's okay, and that matters a lot more.
First and foremost. Hope everyone's okay. Hope everyone's doing well. Get well soon, everyone. Hopefully, Thanasis, you're back soon.
Yeah. And then Goran Dragic, left knee soreness, still hasn't played. Technically, he was active for 2 games.
Yeah. Okay, here's my thing. Do you think he's going to play as a member of the Milwaukee Bucks?
Yeah. I think it.
When?
Game 82, maybe. I mean, those last 4 games, again, like, I think after this we can transition to, like, standings watch and really looking ahead at the important games and how the Bucks can hold the 1 seed now. But I think there's some tailor-made, like, Drew gets a night off games here. I mean, there's also back-to-backs before that makes sense too. And that's, like, the whole point of him being here. At a certain point, though, I do, like, was it worse than they thought? Did they expect it to take this long? I can't imagine they thought he was going to be out for weeks when they first signed him. Maybe they did. I will say that I think it's probably longer than they expected. They're probably also, again, it's the Bucks. They're probably being super cautious. But I think this is my thought on the reasoning of this. I've seen people like, oh, do you think, they signed him to take him away from other teams, even if he was going to be out? No, I don't think they really care about that. I don't think, oh man, Goran Dragic in 3 weeks is a problem. We need to take that away from the market.
I don't know, man. Apparently the Celtics were furious.
The Celtics are I just don't care about that report.
I do not believe that for a second.
No, it's so dumb. Oh,
of course.
No, Goran Dragic,
no. They're so mad. They're mad at the Bulls for helping the Bucks and for letting them sign Goran Dragic. Bro, have you seen Goran Dragic?
I said they should be mad at the Bulls for beating him twice. That's what they should be mad at the Bulls for. Forget Goran Dragic. But no, I think their thinking was like, we like Lindell. We signed him to the 2-way. We like Lindell. If it came up, if the Teague thing comes up again, right? And that's the rule. I think that's pretty clear at this point. If it comes up again, we would rather trust Dragic and getting him rehabbed by then, but he comes in. We'd rather have that, right? Even though if we're not going to have him for a lot of the remaining regular season, we trust him more to come in and be effective than someone like Lindell, who just doesn't have that playoff reps, right? Or name a player, right? Then John Wall, who we don't trust to shoot the ball, right? Or whoever else. Like,
Who
if
no
it
one in
comes
the
up,
league trusts, by the way.
yeah, exactly. If it comes up, like, we think Dragic is the best bet. Like, I think it is literal, maybe not paranoia, but like absolute worst case, if this happens and we need this playmaking, even though, we won't see him for some of these regular season games where he would help, we will take this big tax hit and we hope he'll be healthy by then. And then we'll ride with this guy as the emergency valve. And I'm like, hey, if that's the logic, it just got to clap. Because it's like, all right, that is like really turning over every stone, pulling every possible lever to get the most playoff-ready team possible. That's admirable. And I really think at this point, that's all it can be be honest.
Yeah, it's just emergency. It's shoring up your roster. It's doing whatever you can. And speaking of, I don't believe, like, this is a little bit. What did do? Oh, the Bucks did get. Oh, they did get revenue sharing payments.
Yeah, but not very much. And you look at some other teams who are good and spending a lot and smaller markets. Like I think the Cavs got more. Like they didn't get a lot.
No, Milwaukee got 6.7 million. Like Phoenix got 1.6. Like,
yeah, and Phoenix is a much bigger market. People sleep on how big Phoenix is.
Denver got 35.5 million.
I wonder
that's
the TV
TV
deal. Yeah, so they don't make as much money for that reason. But like how much the Cavs got? Like I think more than 10 million, right?
19.9.
Yeah, and they're obviously not the same level of success, but a team that was in the finals and
Memphis got 28.
I mean, yeah, they don't pay any salary. But that's weird. Actually, no, that would be the opposite.
That would help them.
Yeah.
But it's just showing how much this team actually does just print money nowadays.
Yeah,
So
they're still, yeah, all of them do, I think.
Yeah, unless you're Charlotte.
By the way, congrats to Andrew Snyder. Did you see the
congrats.
News?
Yeah, Jordan's selling the team. Not Jordan Treske, Michael Jordan.
I would be sad if Jordan Treske was selling.
I'd be mad at Jordan Treske for not sharing the
I don't need any money. Just put me in B-ball ops, Jordan. Let me be.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't want money. I'd
like a salary for the job. But
oh yeah, sure. Yeah. But it's like I don't just need free money.
Cool, $600K a year will do it for me. NBA teams, if you're listening, cut that in half, and I'll still. It's not a.
I will do something for.
I will be your GM for $50K a year, and when the Windhorse hit piece comes out,
that's like almost as much as the Bucks paid John Horst.
I was gonna say when the Windhorse hit piece comes out to make fun of you for being cheap, I'll deny it. I'll lie to the press. I don't care. My integrity.
I will go and personally spend my money to rent a Ferrari or something to go parade around. I will say, hey, trust me, I would
expense the Ferrari, but I would also do that. Anyway, $50K is a little low, but I mean, being a GM is pretty sick, though. I'd consider it. Standings watch. The Bucks have a 2.5 game lead over, drum roll, the Philadelphia 76ers, who are now in second. The Boston Celtics remain 5-5 in their last 10. Who'd they lose to this time?
Utah. They blew a 16 or 19 point lead, I think. Went to Grant Williams at the rim for their game-winning shot and just got absolutely smacked by Walker Kessler.
Can I take a draft dub on Kessler?
Please do. Yeah. I was gonna say, yeah,
really good. He wasn't an option, and he wouldn't have fit on the Bucks. We've talked ad nauseum, non-spacing bigs, just kind of a non-starter. Really good player, though.
Look at the pod we just did.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, also just they should get a Brook replacement, but we've wanted them to draft centers for like 2 years. That would have been a Jordan Love draft pick outside of the year that Brook was hurt. Because it's like that guy would not be playing.
Yeah. Here's a fun anecdote, by the way.
Oh, okay.
This isn't any new information. But again, tease for our Bobby pod. Bobby, in his pre-draft process, thought he was going to Milwaukee.
I wish, dude. I banged the table
We
for
were talking
Bobby,
not
too.
just him, the people around him, his business manager, everyone thought that
Wow.
he was going to Milwaukee.
The Bulls got him in front, or the Bucks didn't pick him?
I think the Bucks didn't pick him.
Was that Vaughn?
That
No.
was Rashad Vaughn.
I thought he went before Vaughn, didn't he, or no?
No, because the
No, 'cause
Bulls beat the Bucks that previous season in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember being mad about that. That was 2015?
Yeah,
No, 16? No, 15.
15.
Yeah, he dropped to 22 that year.
Yeah.
Justin Anderson, G League legend, right before him to Dallas.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, Bobby Portis thought he was coming to Milwaukee.
It worked out. Wow, that was
It
a
did work out.
bad second half of that draft, dude.
Yeah, it's not good.
Wow. Most drafts where the Bucks blow a pick, you're like, oh, and there's 3 elite role players right after. The next 3 players, Sam Decker, Jerry, and Grant. DeLon Wright's pretty good. Justin Anderson, and then Bobby.
Tyus Jones, good.
Yeah, good player. But this is a really bad.
Kevon Looney, very good.
This is maybe the worst non-lotto first round in some time.
Oh, Pat Connaughton in that draft, second round.
But second round. I mean, here's 23 through 30.
Oh, my boy, Satnam Singh, 52.
Who is Nikola Milutinov?
Who?
The Spurs took him 26th.
Oh, my God.
He never came over. Nikola Milutinov. RJ
my
Hunter.
goodness.
Remember, everyone thought RJ Hunter was going to be the next like Clay, and the Boston got
Larry
him.
Nance Jr., good pick.
Chris McCullough from Brooklyn. I remember him. Big man in the league for a couple of years.
Remember when RJ Hunter signed a camp deal with the Bucks, and it's like, oh my God, he's going to be amazing. Didn't even make the roster.
Of course not. I thought Raheem Christmas was going to be really good too. I love draft season for this reason. Yeah, I think he ended up with the Cavs for a little bit. I love draft season for this reason. Like, you just get so attached to these guys. It's like, oh, I was so convinced.
Oh my God, Sir Dominic Pointer.
He played 1,000 years for the Charge. He is Cleveland G League legend. I thought Takoto was going to be an NBA player too, Wisconsin's own. But okay, standings watch. We can do the guys listing off old player names thing. That could be a whole pod. If we ever do a Patreon, it's just going to be me and Rohan going through a draft per episode, and just like, oh, I remember Chris McCullough, kind of long, right? Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely.
If you're interested in that, let us know.
Let us know if you want to pay for that. So the Bucks still first, 2.5 game cushion. Could have been 3 if they handled business against Indiana. Oh well. Still the only team in the league with 50 wins, and they have 51. Yeah. And 20 losses is lowest. Denver is now falling pretty far behind. I think.
Well, they've decided to lose every game. We covered this last time, but it's like
what?
They've just no. Jokic doesn't want to win MVP, Ty. That's what it is.
It's very selfless of him. Their 500 road record, let's just not look at that. And they're fine. But so the Bucks 2.5 games on Philly and Boston. So Philly's ahead because of winning percentage. They've actually played a game or 2 less.
2 games less, yeah.
2 games less. Thank you. I think they played whatever. I can't do math. But they've played less than Boston and Milwaukee. But those 2 are tied in the standings now, Philly and Boston. I want to look at their head-to-head record quick. So Milwaukee can still split the tiebreaker with Philly. We talked about this before recording, Rohan and I. We both had forgotten the first game of the year. Milwaukee ekes out an ugly win against Philly.
Matthews, baby.
Wes Matthews. So they've lost the 2
like
cents.
So long ago.
I know. That literally felt like I thought that was the Christmas game from last year.
I thought that was last season, yeah.
So Philly, the Bucks need to win that Philly game then, both for the game and ground and standings and tiebreaker. The Bucks win that. Again, let's just assume static across every other game. That's a 3.5 game lead with 10 left for the Bucks, and at least splitting the tiebreaker. So then it would go to like division record or conference record, I believe, because they'll probably both win their divisions if they're tied. So it'll be pretty close. So that game, honestly, probably more important than the Boston game at this point. They're both important, but the way Philly and Boston are both playing, I think the Philly one may matter even more.
I think they're both important, but yeah, Philly might be more important, especially the way Boston's trending 5-5 in their last 10. They just, like we mentioned.
Good news. Boston has beat Philly 3 times already. So I don't think that actually doesn't matter. Never mind. Because if it's a 3-way tie, that doesn't matter anyway.
No.
Well.
It's important though, because it's looking like there's in my opinion,
Rohan's opinion.
Philly is now in the tier of Boston, Milwaukee.
I agree. I still don't trust them in the playoffs, but they've earned
I don't
it.
either. I'd still consider Milwaukee the best team and maybe Boston the second best team.
But I think I won't even do the playoff caveat because I think now Boston has a caveat. They've just been ass for like 3 weeks.
It hasn't been great. Like I mentioned, they're throwing game winners to Grant Williams. Like
Tatum has shot poorly for a long time. The three's been bad all year.
Look at the game against the Rockets that they have, and I know should not
be game, but
yes. And again, like look at that. There's an infamous Bucks Rockets game, and the Bucks won the title that year.
Yeah.
So again, I take this with a grain of salt, but it's not like Kevin Porter Jr. had 50 points in that game against the Celtics.
You win the title if KPJ puts 50 on you. That's confirmed factual.
The Celtics lost that game because Tatum shot the ball so well. He even had a game-winning layup attempt or a game-tying layup attempt, and he just missed.
Yeah. He is 43. He's been at 44% from the field and 35% from three or lower for 3 straight months now. Like, the three has not been there all year. He's literally 40% in 6 October games, 35, 33, 34, 35, 30 from three for Jason Tatum. Kind of just like everyone expected it to normalize. It just hasn't. And it's kind of a problem. Like his efficiency in general, I mean, he's still scoring 30 points per game most of these months. Only 25 in February and 29 in March, which is still good.
He's getting to the line.
He's getting to the line a lot, shooting very well from there. Not a good season, though, for his standards, for Jason Tatum.
I saw someone saying that he needs to start playing like he's 6'9" and not 5'9". And I was like, yeah.
That is my problem with them, though. I don't think they get to the rim enough. And they kind of have the Phoenix thing going on. I know
that's why Jalen, Jalen has been like a more impactful playoff player. Like look back to last season. Jalen Brown was the best player on that team in the postseason.
I mean, over the last 3 games, it was Tatum. And I think that did swing it. But over the series, you could argue.
Look at the finals.
You could argue Jalen. Yeah.
Look at the conference finals. Look at the finals. Like first of all, I've like blocked off that conference finals. I don't really remember.
I still can't. And that's why Miami playing Philly or Boston, I don't think those teams want that. And I think Miami is totally fraudulent and they're not good.
I think they get 1 game tops.
No, I think they get at least 2. And
against the Bucks, I think they get 1 game tops.
Oh yeah. I'm not talking about the Bucks. I'm talking about Philly or Boston. I think those teams just like something about Miami, man. They're always better in the playoffs than the regular season. Jimmy's just a dog. I don't know. If I'm Boston, I worry about that now. I am like, I don't like Boston could be first round Miami, second round Philly, third round Bucks. I think there's no shot they get through that the way they're playing right now. No shot.
And that goes to my point of it's very, very, very important that the Bucks keep this 1 seed. Incredibly important because, like I was saying, I believe Boston and or Philly is now in that tier with Boston and Milwaukee in terms of teams that can win the East. Again, I still have my concerns about them. I still think the Bucks are the best team, but I think they're in that tier. Well, have the other two play each other, man, in the second round. You only want to play one of those teams. You don't want to play 2 if you don't have to.
I think that, and so there's some people who are saying like, oh, they've won on the road before, whatever. I think only having to play one of them is the more important point this year.
Like, sure, they've done it before, but why do you want to?
Yeah, and we know the Bucks still have one of the best home records in the league. I think only Denver is better. And again, shouldn't count. Literally an inflated statistic, just like the air there is inflated. Memphis now, I believe, also does. But it's really hard to win in Milwaukee. You want more games there when you can get them. And yeah, like Philly and Boston are both threatening. And, the thing about the playoffs is it's not just like, are you better than the other team? Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of it boils down to that. But every series is a percentage, right? It's all stats. You have X percent chance. The Bucks have 100% chance of beating anyone lower than 3, I think, in the playoffs. Maybe 80% for Cleveland. But I think the other teams, it's like something drastic would have to happen if reasonable health is guaranteed. I think Philly and Boston is a much lower number. And then knowing statistics, not an expert, but you compounding lower stats rolls makes it much more likely the bad thing happens. You only want one of those in the conference, and you can get that this year.
You can. You absolutely can get that this year, which is why what did it end up? 16-game winning streak?
Yeah, I think so.
Was so important for them to be able to catch up and take this best record in the league.
And the back-to-back out west, too. Like, that was like Giannis coming back and being like, yeah, we're winning these games. Like, that makes it dropping even one or two of those. It's a big deal in this.
Yeah, like that Warriors game. It's like, oh, I wish. But no, winning the Kings and Suns. The Bucks, by the way, are tied with the Warriors for the third best home record in the league.
Yeah. So it's Memphis and Denver ahead.
The Pistons have won 9 games at home.
They're really pathetic.
They've won 16 games.
Even without Cade.
I thought this team was going to make the playoffs.
I don't know how you did. Here's your issue is you didn't realize that their number one goal is not winning games or losing games. It's collecting as many draft busts as possible. And they are.
Yeah, and they all have to be front court players.
No, yeah, and they all have to be front court, and no one is better. Nobody. I mean, Marvin Bagley. They still have Nerlens? Or no, they got rid of Nerlens. They had Nerlens.
No, Nerlens is in Brooklyn.
Yeah, congrats, Brooklyn. You know what? They've been fun. They lost 3 in a row now, but they're still holding off Miami, who has also not been a world beater. No one except Philly and Milwaukee in the East really has been. Cleveland's and the Knicks have been good lately, but they fell off a little bit too.
Yeah, that Boston-Brooklyn series is going to be a blood. Like, it's going to be disgusting.
Brooklyn totally takes game 1 in that series, though. That is exactly.
They might. You're right.
That is exactly the way. And then everyone on the shows will be like, Mikal Bridges, are we sure that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are better than Mikal Bridges? It's like, yeah, we are. Mikal's great, but come on, man.
And then they're going to lose the next game.
It's going to be 4-1. Yeah.
No, it's going to be 4-1 by a combined like 200 points.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly how they Brooklyn is a very Orlando Magic-ass low seed team.
They did that, remember, against the Raptors?
Yep, that's a good point.
No, wait, that was Orlando.
Yeah, that was Orlando too. I was going to say, Orlando against the
Brooklyn
Bucks.
Brooklyn did it against someone. Who'd they do? Philly. They did it against Philly.
Which Brooklyn? Oh, with D'Lo?
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, it doesn't count. It doesn't count if they win one game with KD and Harden. That's different. That's just
no. They did it against Philly.
Yeah.
You get the infamous picture of that Philly fan just like sitting there. Like,
yeah. You know what the funniest part about Brooklyn winning a game, though, would be? Is Mikal getting more games against the Celtics than KD in that one series when they got swept? Remember that? KD and Kyrie just got swept and we don't talk about it anymore? Yeah, we just don't talk about that? They got swept.
They did get swept.
Anyway.
But yeah, it's going to be really important for the Milwaukee Bucks to keep. And by the way, do you think they keep one? I think
they keep one. They won it. I think they clearly won it.
Yeah. Again, stay tuned for our convo with Bobby Portis.
Yeah. Bobby said they won it. Spoiler alert.
You'll have to find out.
Okay. I love that. Love you for that. Let me pull up the schedule. Let's look. So can you help me with the math? How many games do they have to win to secure it? Obviously 11, and it's done.
So basically, they have, assuming they don't get any tiebreakers. Let's just assume worst case scenario.
Yep.
They are currently up 2 games because it's like the half game will matter. They would need to win 9, 10, like a magic number of 10.
Okay, so they're up 2 losses. So right now, Philly has 22. So yeah, it's a lot of games still, right? So the Bucks would have to finish with 21 losses. They'd have to go 10-1. So it's +1 every time. Boston's at 23.
Yeah, but that's assuming that the other teams win every game.
So it's a combo of 9.
It's a magic
Bucks,
number.
Magic number of 9?
10, I think.
10. Yeah, 10.
A combo of Bucks wins and Philly/Boston losses.
It's 1 more for Boston. Boston has 23 losses. So I think it's 9 for Boston.
9 for Boston, 10 for Philly.
So here's the Bucks schedule. This one, please don't blow this one. Spurs at home with 2 days off. Mamu revenge game part 2. Huge trap game. Huge trap game. Wait, did they not? I thought there was a Mamu revenge game. Did I black out? There's not. No, it's coming up. It must have just been coming up.
Yeah, it's the one on Wednesday.
Yeah. I thought it already happened in that last West Coast road trip for some reason. I took 2 ibuprofen. I'm buzzing over here. I can't. I'm floating. But 2 days off Spurs game. I'm hoping. By the way, prayer hands emoji, knock on wood, fingers crossed, all this stuff. fairly cleanish injury report for that game with all the days off. That's the hope.
Yes.
We'll see. Then it's a road trip. This one is sneaky important, I think. Friday, March 24th at Utah. This is like can you steal this game without pushing the guys? Not easy. Utah's playing hard. They want to be in the play-in. They're not tanking. Do you punt that game to play Denver? I don't know. Probably not.
You don't need to punt versus Denver right now.
Denver at home is tough, though. I think both of those games are hard. Those two are tough games. I think you win one, you probably feel pretty good about that section of two.
Yes.
Then the road trip continues with only one day off, but it's Monday at Detroit. I wonder if they go home after the Saturday. Probably go home after the Saturday game, then go to Detroit on Monday, I would think. That'll be nice. It's still a road trip, but that kind of makes it a little easier. Monday at Detroit. Got to beat Detroit. Always got to beat Detroit. Joke of a basketball team. Wednesday at Pacers. Revenge game.
Revenge game. Yeah. The Bucks, they take their revenge seriously.
I kind of think even if Halliburton, and I hope Halliburton does play. It was sad he didn't play in Milwaukee. I kind of think even if he plays, the Bucks are just going to be like, yeah, we're pissed. And especially if Brook plays too, like, oh yeah, we're pissed about that. It would be nice if they could drub the Pacers because the next night is Boston at home. One of the two biggest games.
Schedule, by the way.
Horrible schedule. Like
second night of a back-to-back in the last month against the Suns, the Nuggets, and the Celtics.
Yes. And the Bulls, who are suddenly good and play really well against good teams. The Boston game is big. So, maybe the Pacers end up getting a win just because maybe the Bucks sit some guys for that back-to-back. We'll see.
Jordan wore a revenge game again.
Yeah. Good.
George Hill.
Happy. George Hill looked great. Fuck George Hill.
I'm very, very
Classic
happy for George Hill.
Yeah, I know.
Jordan wears it.
Yeah. I'm happy for Jordan. And then 2 days off and then Philly. So that weekend, that long weekend, Thursday, March 30th, Boston, Sunday, April 2nd, Philly. That's a lot of the season. Not a lot of the regular season. Because if you win those two games, that shrinks your magic number by, what was that? Two games each? Yeah. So then it's like you only need 7 combined losses and wins against Boston and 8 against Philly for the whole rest of the year. So you win those, and it's actually more against Boston because then you have the tiebreaker. So those are
and with Philly
huge.
Too?
No, they would just split it.
Oh, you're right.
And then it's conference record. It would be really close. They're close now, but it's huge. So those are the 2 games. Honestly, kind of worked out that Boston's the back-to-back and Philly isn't at this point, if one had to be. Again, just the way Boston has played. And then at Wizards in 2 days, and then a back-to-back home Bulls, and then a day off Grizzlies at home, a day off at Raptors at noon to close the season.
Just a giant middle finger.
Yeah, really bad schedule, I think. But yeah, I think they can hold the 1 seed here. The scheduling is tough. The teams, though, are not that good. There's obviously a couple against premier teams, but outside of Denver, Boston, Philly, the best, and Memphis, who, I guess that game could still matter for both. It might not matter for either. The best
Taylor
team outside
Jenkins
of those is...
can take it seriously.
Yeah, probably. Well, I don't know. I could see a favor being done.
Memphis and Kings are tied in the standings, so that could be close.
Yeah, but this is a week from now. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see how it's decided. Ja may be back by then. But outside of those 4 games, it's either Chicago, Toronto, or Washington is the best, or Utah, I guess, is the best team remaining. So the rest disparity is not kind. Thankfully, the Bucks have been elite on both sides of back-to-backs.
They've been the best back-to-back team in the league this season.
So it's their depth. I mean, they're built to handle this. I think the 1 seed is theirs for the taking. I do think they will take it.
Yeah, but it's important to consider, like I'm looking at Philly's schedule right now, and it's like, ooh, because they have Bulls.
Bills twice, yeah. It's hard to beat a team twice, and the Bulls.
Yeah. Warriors in Golden State, though.
Really hard game.
Yeah. Phoenix, Denver, Dallas.
Is that a road trip?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So they go west now. So the Bucks have another west trip.
Warriors, Suns, Nuggets, and then they have Dallas, Toronto at home.
Okay.
And then they still have Milwaukee, Boston, Miami, Atlanta, Brooklyn.
That's really hard.
Yeah, aside from the two Bulls games, those are all teams that like will give you a fight. Except
The
maybe
Bulls will too.
Yeah, that's true.
The Bulls play good teams good. The Bulls are the weird, and they've actually they're calling it the Patrick Beverley era. They've been decent since then.
He had 14 straight in the game time. Did you see that yesterday?
No, I didn't.
Or 2 days ago?
Oh my God.
He scored 14 straight points.
Is this like, are we just seeing like, hey, culture matters, and they just didn't have anyone who was going to motivate any players?
I don't know. He had a 3 off I don't know who they're playing. It's the dumbest defense I've ever seen in my entire life. They like DeMar would catch it in the corner, like on the baseline, and then they would double. He would just pass one pass away to Patrick Beverley, he hits a 3.
This
Comes
was
back
their
the
last
next
game?
possession. I think so.
Saturday they played Miami.
Yep, that's it.
That's hilarious for Miami.
The next possession down the court, same thing. Pass to DeMar on the baseline, double team, one pass away, Patrick Beverley hits a 3. Next possession down, pass the ball to DeMar DeRozan on the baseline, double comes, Patrick Beverley pumps and then drives and gets a layup. And then the following possession, I believe it was on the left wing, DeMar gets the ball, a double comes, he passes to Patrick Beverley, who hits a 3.
They were literally just like, it can't keep happening, right? And then it did.
Like 4 possessions.
Here's
you
Boston.
just pass one pass away out of a double. That's like the Bucks defense from like a couple years back. We're like, what are you doing?
That's probably not the best. Here's Boston's schedule. A little easier than Philly's. At Kings, hard game. Tuesday night at Kings. Home Pacers and Spurs. Same as the Bucks. That must just be those teams are just hanging out in the Central or in the East Coast right now. At Wizards, at Bucks. So it's not a back-to-back for them when it is for the Bucks, but they do travel to Washington 2 days before. Home Utah. 3 days off, and then at Philly, which almost a double-edged sword. 3 days off. 3 days off is almost too long, but at Philly is hard. 2 home Raptors, 1 home Hawks. So not hard, but some tough games. And the way they're playing, these might all be tough games.
Why do I feel like they dominate the Kings game and then get blown out by the Pacers?
That would seem like I would be. So these losses, a lot of these losses are on the road for them lately, although they did lose to the Nets and the Knicks at home. And they've just been on the road generally. But if you go back, and they lost to the Suns at home. That might have been a KD game, though. They lost to the Knicks at home twice, actually.
It's tough.
But yeah, they lost to the Cavs in Cleveland. They beat the Blazers at home, and then they went on the road and lost to the Rockets and Jazz. And they barely beat the Wolves. Yeah, the Celtics have just been kind of hanging out there. I don't know, that Wizards game, I'm like, oh, the Wizards gonna beat them? I don't know.
Yeah, it's been a strange close to the regular season. Everyone, the vibes seem off.
So we talked about the magic number. What realistically do you think the Bucks have? How many games do they have to win to hold 1?
They've got 11 games left. I think they need to win 7 of them.
I think if they win 8, it's pretty much bulletproof. And if they
7,
win
but including Boston and Philly.
Yeah, I think including Boston and Philly, it's maybe even like 6 or 7 because it's such an important game for everything else. But I think if you can notch 8 of them, you're probably good regardless because that requires Philly to go, 10-2 or 11-2 over that last stretch of games, which is going to be really difficult for them.
They're on a 8-game win streak right now.
Yeah, I think they're 9-1 in their last 10. They've been playing very well.
I mean, they beat the Bucks, the streak buster, and then they started their streak of their own.
You just look back at that game, I think more and more, and just go, oh, if they just could have held on to that one game, how different is everything at this point?
Yep. Then they beat the Pacers, the Wolves, the Blazers, the Wizards, the Cavs, the Hornets, the Pacers.
Yeah, it's been really bad teams.
It's wild. Yeah, it's crazy how it's like beating up on good teams just makes Joel Embiid MVP now.
But bad teams, but a lot of them on the road. So I won't take all credit away. It's hard to win. I think 6 of the 8 games they've won in a row are on the road. So it's impressive no matter who you're playing. But yeah, it's not been ideal teams for sure.
But we'll have to wait and see. That game against the Wizards on that Tuesday will be exciting, Tyro.
Yeah, watch party.
Yeah, it should be a fun watch party. If you want to come down, we're going to have all of the GSPN crew there.
Yep.
Fill out the form at gspn.info if you're interested.
I think we're going to move forward with a play. We can't say where yet. Though we fill out the form still, but I think we're pretty close to locking in where. So hopefully details on that this week, maybe? Possibly this week. So get ready. Mark your calendars for a date I forgot. Tuesday, April 4th.
Yeah, Tuesday, April 4th. You get to see Brewers, Mets. You get to see Bucks, Wizards.
We may need the establishment to turn on a non-Bucks game that night because that is also Sixers Celtics.
Oh, yeah.
So that is elite viewing. There's 3 big games on, 2 Wisconsin sports teams, and then a big game depending on who's ahead of who at that point. But that's I think unless Philly implodes before then, we're probably rooting for Boston there, which feels gross.
Yeah.
Because the Bucks can own outright the tiebreaker with Boston, and Boston just hasn't played as well in general.
And we just want those 2 to stay 2-3.
Yeah. Neither will drop. Neither will drop. That's gone. Yeah. Is that what you're going to say?
No. How funny will it be when the Sixers don't make it to the conference finals again?
I know. I almost pencil it in at this point.
Yeah, because it's like, what evidence do we have that they will?
How many people will say that their second round series is like the finals this year?
Oh, that's true. That's true. It's been a while since we haven't had the Bucks in there.
Can we put the over-under on that and then laugh when the Bucks beat whoever wins because they're exhausted?
Yeah, because last year it was Bucks Celtics. Year before that it was Bucks Nets.
Yep.
The year before that it was Bucks Heat.
Yeah.
It ended up being Bucks Heat.
That's true.
And then the year before that, Bucks Raptors.
No, I mean the Heat Celtics was a better series. It didn't end up being the finals.
I know, but the Heat ended up going to the finals.
Yeah, I mean the Bucks have not lost to a team that has not gotten out of the conference since Bud got here.
Yeah.
They've either gone to the finals or lost the team that went to the finals every year. Mm-hmm. That's the bar.
Yeah, that is the bar. But it's crazy. The Bucks haven't been in there in a while, so it'll be fun to see.
Maybe we're over time. Maybe next time we could talk about who we'd rather see, Cleveland or the Knicks.
Ooh, I'm taking either over Boston, Philly.
Oh yeah, for sure. I just mean out of those 2.
No, for sure. That'll be a fun pod because the Knicks are winning, Ty. The Knicks are doing good things.
I don't totally trust it, but
they're balling. We can't argue with the results right now.
Mitchell Robinson's Instagram gives me pause, Rohan.
It's not even Instagram; it's Snapchat. Like, what year is it?
Imagine you're a 7-foot center on a very good team, and you get emotional on Snapchat. That's a red flag for your whole team to me.
It's like, why are you complaining about your minutes on Snapchat, my guy?
After Hassan Whiteside mastered Snapchat, no other NBA player should have ever used it.
Oh my God.
He had the best Snapchat of all. Somebody posted the video of him just running in circles in the Heat locker room and just said, Hassan Whiteside, underrated, hilarious. And I had to agree.
He is underrated, hilarious. Didn't he just sign with the team somewhere?
People have been asking for a while, where is he? I don't know.
Hassan Whiteside is playing in, bro, I don't know where this is.
Oh, no. Puerto Rico.
Where?
He's playing with Brandon Knight.
Yeah, that's who it was. He's playing with Brandon Knight.
Wow.
I was about to say how the mighty have fallen, but he wasn't really mighty. That's a fun place to wrap this up. Hassan Whiteside sucks. Thank you for listening to this. Yeah, sorry, Hassan Whiteside. You dominate me in a game of basketball, but a lot of other players would dominate you in a game of basketball.
God. Let it go. What is this?
I don't know where this is coming from. I have no beef with Hassan Whiteside.
Apparently you do.
I mean, no, like, think about it. Imagine he's playing Lowry Markkanen would, kick the pants off Hassan Whiteside right now. What I can't stop. Someone stop me. I'm the outro guy. Okay, we're done. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Gyro Step here on Blue Wire GSPN. Make sure you check out gspn.info for the aforementioned form for our live event. Make sure you check out the Discord link, Substack link. All of our other pods are on there. Make sure you are subscribed wherever you're listening to this on your podcast platform of choice or watching this on YouTube. Leave a 5-star rating on your podcast platform of choice. Pod random, and we will talk to you next time.